Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. I am AstroLunaChick, your host for AstroLunaChick's universe. But you can call me Susan. I respond to that also. How's everybody? I hope you are doing well in the dark of the moon. What does that mean, the dark of the moon? Well, the dark of the moon is the few degrees before the new moon. I say about 30 degrees before we are in the actual alignment of the sun and the moon as the new moon. And that's not a time to start anything new. In the waning part of the moon, meaning full moon to the next new moon, we are wrapping things up, disseminating information, acting on everything that we've been building from the last new moon. So think of it as every new moon, you're given a new script. So there's some things and some characters that carry over into the new season or the new episode. Let's say the new episode. And other things that are wrapped up and done with. And so when we get to the last 30 degrees before the new moon, it's kind of like a debriefing, making sense of what the cycle was about. What did you get done? What did you learn? What did you accomplish? And with that in mind, what do you want to start with the new cycle? Because we get a fresh infusion of energy and inspiration with every new moon. And this one is going to be super extra, super fresh, like Mentos fresh. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. It's gonna be crazy. Anyway, we'll get into that. So if you didn't know, I am AstroLunaChick, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram mainly. You can also find me on Rumble. If you're on Rumble, please go subscribe to my channel. BitChute, haven't uploaded anything there yet, but I'm going to subscribe to me there. I have a Substack newsletter, which I will be using in the future. If you like the Substack newsletter model, whatever, I know I can do podcasts there, but I can always update people as to what's going on. I'm going to be using that more in the future, so you can subscribe to me there, AstroLunaChick. I have a link in the description box for my Gilded chat, where I also do updates. Gilded is similar to Discord. It's one of those gamer chat apps. I usually post updates in my Gilded chat, my latest videos, and speaking of which, my last Monday's show, which was Aquila and the abduction of Ganymedes, all about some stuff that maybe got me in trouble. I'm not sure, but it's kind of weird what happened with my video. Losing losing views. My view count went down by half. Very strange. And also, um, considering how many views I've been getting per video, it's a little sauce, but I don't know. Did they change an algorithm? Did I talk about some things? Did I hit a nerve? I don't know. I'm curious. Whatever. Unless, a large percentage of my viewers just ditched me because, quite frankly, I mean, I'm not gonna discount uh that possibility because I've been doing some long ass shows and um I need to tighten up the astrology, just like get to the freaking astrology and stop the rabbit trailing. Anyway, that is my goal. And considering the alignments, I think I should be able to do it. Anyway, we're just going to talk about the week's astrology. If you are listening live, you can say hi in the chat. If not, you can just remain anonymous. That's cool too. So, where are we at today? Ooh, so, okay, the moon is in Scorpio. We're going to have a new moon in Scorpio. That'll be at 21 degrees of Scorpio. But right now, as it stands, the moon is in the early degrees of Scorpio, early reaching the mid degrees of Scorpio. So we're looking at the last dregs of Scorpio. And what is this dredging up? What are we processing? What are we looking at in terms of our Scorpio house, the Scorpio energy in our personal charts, as well as within the collective and what is going on with the bigger picture? So, definitely trying to look at our um, mental health, psychology, because Scorpio goes deep into the psyche and the things that have been um, being rooted out, processed, integrated, assimilated. That's all Scorpio's job. Scorpio is the the energy or like the function of breaking down matter into, think of it as like composting, changing it into fertile soil by breaking things down. So, what else have we been dealing with? We've been dealing with a lot of scandals and s- salacious gossip. If you're looking out, you know, in terms of the world, in terms of news, Scorpio always brings sort of taboo things that people want to keep hidden. Um, there's been a lot regarding death because that's a Scorpio thing and people that have passed, but also dealing with our own mortality and looking at the perhaps the seedier side of life, things coming out in terms of criminal activities. Uh, what else? Scorpio is great for doing research. So throughout I want to say the month of Scorpio, it's not the month of Scorpio, it's the time beginning around the end of October when the sun enters into Scorpio and starts to bring us down into the depths. Scorpio is like the still waters of the intuition, the psyche, and we're always kind of around this time, it's Halloween, it's after Halloween. in the northern hemisphere things start to die, it reminds us of the death and rebirth cycle. And when we come out of it hopefully wiser, stronger, refreshed in some way because we've gone into our psyche to recycle those things from the past that we need to we need to have them come up so we can look at them, so we can let go of anger, resentment, fear, and realize that this is part of being a human on Earth. So, Scorpio moon. Well, there is a lot being revealed, whether it's revealed to us personally or publicly, where we have secrets coming out, being exposed, and investigations. You guys know I love that stuff. I'm a true crime junkie. And, you know, I just like, I like, you know what it is? I love justice. I like to see how the legal system works. There's certain rules that have to be followed in society. And when people are guilty of something, they should get their just desserts. Anyway, I don't know. I just find it fascinating. But that's just me. So there's been a lot going on with that. A lot of interesting lawsuits. And I know the average person doesn't really keep up with that. But the thing is that those things, let's say those legal cases, the battles that are being fought within the court system, it represents for us collectively, I think, a tipping of the scales in terms of justice because our system, if you didn't know, is so corrupt. It's disgustingly corrupt. And, we could say, oh, yeah, we know. Politics are corrupt. The legal system is corrupt. It's not fair. But then there are times when these things come come out and see the light of day. And so cases are decided that I think are going to affect us in the long term. And I see the scales tipping from an extreme to one side, and now we're starting to move in the other direction. So, just my opinion. Hi. All right, fine. Let's get to week, the week in astrology. Today, the Scorpio moon. Tomorrow, November 12th, starting off Monday with a new moon. So you can all play that Duran Duran song, New Moon on Monday. So, with this new moon at 21 degrees of Scorpio, we have the sun and the moon naturally making a new moon, the conjunction of the sun and the moon with Mars. Oi, this is going to be a feisty, feisty new moon because Mars is ready to fight. And so at in Scorpio, we have the sun, the moon, and and Mars. So it's the ego, the identity, the emotions with the moon and Mars. So it is going to be a whole month cycle. And for the next 2 weeks, especially, what are we going to see? We're going to see a lot of things having to do with Mars. All right. Mars, Mars rules Aries, but Mars also is a co-ruler of Scorpio. So, in terms of war, in in terms of fighting, aggression, battles, things having to do with weapons, armaments, so the weapons of war, and anything militaristic, the police, Mars, Aries, and Scorpio definitely rule the military, the armed forces, as well as police. So, and what do those groups do? Well, they carry weapons. They uh they fight, right? They have battles with criminals. Ah, so a lot of that, but on a personal level, Mars is very assertive. So I feel like we're going to have um, a, a fresh infusion of something completely new that we haven't seen before. Why? Because the new moon, the sun, the moon, and Mars are going to be opposite the the planet Uranus, and Uranus represents rebellion. Also, it is unexpected events, unexpected, shocking, unconventional, rebellious. So, you know, what else would that, what else do we need to look at? I think because uh, Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius, and so it's the same energy, Uranus and Aquarius, and that speaks of groups of people. And we've been seeing a lot of groups of people who are very angry and passionate, and that's the Mars in Scorpio. Uh, Mercury opposed Uranus, so it did it before Mars. So we're going to look at Mercury as words, verbal, uh, rebellion. So speaking out. Mercury was opposite on November 4th, was opposite to Uranus. So that would be unexpected news, shocking things and information, and it's our verbal exchange and ideas. So it's the mind. It's what's in the mind and then what comes out of your mouth. And opposite Uranus doesn't really give a fuck what it says. It's going to say what it wants to say, and sometimes with shocking consequences. But Mars is going to do the same thing. So first, it started out as words, announcements, a threat, whatever it was, rebellion, verbally. Now it's going to be action. So, for the last week or so, whatever was announced, threatened, talked about, now it's going to be action. And that is going to continue all week long. It's going to be crazy. In a sense, it's going to be crazy, but it depends on where it is in your chart. So, Scorpio is eighth house energy, and the eighth house has to do with other people's money, debts, taxes, inheritance, finance. So it will have a lot to do with resources in the sense that it's either going to be, um, things that we owe, things that we have to think about in terms of um, loans, agreements to pay other people, uh, but also that would have to do also with merged finances. So either um, financial partnerships, joint finances, with a couple, and also issues of sex and intimacy. And Mars, I mean, Mars is another, just another energy to put an exclamation point on. Um, the aggressiveness and the assertiveness. When I talked last week about this, there is a dark side to this. I'm sure that you can imagine when you put Scorpio, sex, and taboo, and Mars, pursuit and aggression. Um, in combination with Uranus, which has no restraint, I think you can understand what I am. The picture that I'm painting for you. Worst case scenario, okay, guys? Like, don't, you know, it's going to happen to somebody somewhere in the world and it's not pleasant, but we have to talk about the shadow side of it because we're in Scorpio season and that's when we need to address the taboo stuff that people don't want to talk about. Yeah. So it's also an energy of sudden infiltration and attacks in terms of we need to look at warfare and attacks in the modern world in terms of technology also. So, you know, last month in October, we had a solar eclipse. So a month ago, we just had a solar eclipse. 2 weeks ago, we had a lunar eclipse. And these eclipses uh, brought sudden changes in terms of finances and the banking system. So that's not something that the everyday person on the street might have been feeling up until then, but it was happening. Um, because most of us aren't looking at like the global finance structure and what happens at the top with banks, but I will tell you there is something. And it's not something that I'm not gonna break that down right now, but I feel like with this new moon, we're gonna start to see it trickling down. Because when it comes to debts and banking and the the methods that are used to, let's say, finance, um and package and bundle, investments, that kind of thing. It it affects us, the everyday person, but we're not seeing it until something happens where uh, there's a sudden event that draws everyone's attention to it. I feel like something is going to happen on that level. That's why I'm saying this because we are dealing with Scorpio and Taurus, and that has to do with my money and other people's money and banking resources and debts and taxes There's new tax that they came out this week with the new tax regulations. So that was right on time. So, well, on a very basic level, it has to do with our values versus other people's values. And we are in for a shocking change, whatever it might be. Then again, if this is not affecting your chart, then maybe you are observing it. So, as far as the aspects go, Monday, this is November 13. That's a 4-day in numerology if you reduce it. And again, Sun, Moon, Mars, 21, Scorpio, opposite Uranus, shocking. Again, look at technology. I don't know. This almost has a retrograde Mercury type feel to it where the strange stuff happens with technology. Uranus is technology, and I would expect cyber attacks possibly, and that is a method of warfare. This is war in the modern age. So I feel like there will be, um, whether it's internet outages, again, it's not across the globe, but it will be somewhere. It'll be happening somewhere, and we'll be hearing about it. Um, yeah, attacks on technology, or I mean, banking. It could be a bank, like somewhere in the financial system related to technology and an attack. And this might be interesting for crypto. Just saying. Crypto, like the crypto market has gone boom. We're always going to have a little correction. That I think the pump was due to uh, the eclipse. Usually we see a big jump. So, I mean, not a big dump, but a correction, a reduction. Maybe that's coming with this new moon. But then I feel like after that it's just it's gonna go up. But yeah, so that'll be interesting. So we got to look at anything digital and technology when we're looking at Uranus. Okay, whether it's power outages, computer outages, weird stuff happening and banking, remember that Uranus and Jupiter are restructuring our financial market. Not just the market, but the financial system and how we exchange value, um, currency, money. It's all changing. So expect something big in that department, as well as exposure of criminal activity when it comes to fraud, financial fraud. I feel like this is going to be a big thing. Now, this could have also something to do with maybe a political figure, a lawyer, a judge, someone who is in a position of power that is, you know, expected to have integrity and have the interests of the public at heart, who took a vow to uphold justice, and they are being exposed for being shady and corrupt. You will see that. You will probably see um, something to do with higher education, funding, and grants for universities, things having to do with schools and school budgets. It's possible. This isn't really a time for them to vote on that. But if there's any corruption or anything like that, I really feel like this new moon is going to have something to do with people being taken out of their position who have been corrupt. The judges are being judged, and the hunter is now the hunted. So, it's we've got this energy of justice and truth and the pursuit thereof. Mercury's in Sagittarius, justice and truth. Venus is in Libra, truth, fairness, justice, balance. So anything having to do with people who are in certain positions. Um, we're there's a lot that is going on that we won't see or that we didn't see. What was going on during the end of Virgo season into Libra? So that was end of August into September. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. We didn't exactly know why, but with this new moon, we're going to start to have some things revealed to us because that which was obscuring is now being able to be clarified by the end of the transits of Scorpio because somebody had to go and investigate, right? And now the report is done and we can get some of the details of that. And it'll be interesting. So at the end of, well, the beginning of September, what I was saying was a lot we didn't understand because we had oppositions to Neptune in Pisces. And that's where all the hidden stuff is. Now we're going to have the moon and then the sun and then Mars all make aspects to that Neptune, which is going to be dredging the lake so that we can bring the bodies to the surface, metaphorically. So Monday is a really big day. I know I'm taking a lot of time with this, but what we're going to be seeing is very important for people to understand what has been happening and where things are going in the future and also in our personal life because we all have our own personal revelation in terms of getting a higher perspective, getting a handle on relationships, and so it's it's going to be an intense week. All right. So, moving along, Tuesday. Tuesday is November 14th. That reduces to a 5. 5 is change. 5 is a little bit of chaos here. The moon is in Sagittarius, again, seeking the higher perspective, truth, justice. But the moon does make an awkward aspect to the ruler of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter. And Jupiter is at 8 degrees of um, Taurus, and it's in retrograde. So it's still kind of working on an internal level and going back over the past and redoing some things. So there is an adjustment here happening. So the moon is making an inconjunct. That's an adjustment aspect. And what is being adjusted? Anything having to do with foreign in foreign people, foreign lands, um, the world in general, getting a higher perspective on things, higher education. So anything to do with colleges and universities. And so um, Jupiter and Sagittarius are also looking at laws and the legal system. That's Jupiter Sagittarius. So, our personal beliefs also. Sagittarius does have to do with religion. So we are looking at our beliefs in terms of religion, not necessarily spirituality, but in terms of organized religion, of churches, there could be something going on. Jupiter in Taurus is, Taurus is assets, finances, money, things of value, and our money system. But money in general, I don't know, there could be something about withdrawal of funding or anything having to do with money. I'm thinking there could be it could be something having to do with um I don't know, illegal funding, money laundering, political donations. That's what comes to mind. All right. So earlier in the day, the moon does, or let's see, it could be overnight. I want to keep up with where the moon is because the moon starts out in Scorpio on Monday and then it will move into Sagittarius. So, well, it'll be overnight and it will make a square to Saturn. So, that's heavy, that's responsibility. Um that is judgment and anything having to do with government and legal issues. Yeah, just there's scandals coming out this week. There's a shitstorm a brewing. All right. And it has to do with a judge. There's one in particular, and I think I'll wait until towards the end here. uh I have a poster child. I have a whipping boy, and I think, well, it's interesting. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So, you will know that there is justice in the air when you see something happening to corrupt lawyers, judges, politicians. A lot of politicians are lawyers. The Supreme Court. Oh, there's something big going on. All right, so God, I'm trying not to rabbit trail. All right, so really, all week what we have going on is the Sun and Mars leaders. That's the Sun, aggression, Mars, attacks against, attacks by, sudden rebellion, and shocking and unusual. And information coming out about people's finances. I don't know if I keep it on a personal level, all of those things apply. Finances, other people's financial situations, and relationships, and their sex life because it's Scorpio. Ugh, crazy stuff. It sounds like fun, actually. So all week, really, we have that sort of Sun Mars, very aggressive, but aggressive doesn't mean bad, right? Very assertive. This is the kind of energy that fucking knows what it wants and it is going towards it. That opposition to Uranus is breaking free of all blockages and fears, and um, it's more of if there was a pause in place in regard to something, suddenly the restriction in some ways is lifted on one level, but it could be because we have mentally prepared ourselves and processed a lot of our inhibitions and insecurities. So, or we're sick of being stuck. And and that's kind of the energy this week. It's like, oh, you know what? You might have been scared before. You might have thought of every reason why you couldn't do something, but then you just get so sick of being stuck that it's like, boom, um, there's some kind of unconscious thing that's being lifted and released. So, where you see things start to move, that's your new moon area. And so you can keep an eye on that. Um, a lot of this also has to do with our communications and how we think and how we feel about our relationships, too. We've got all week Mercury and Venus in a sextile. So that's 60 degrees of the zodiac. That's Mars in Sagittarius, a fire sign, Venus in Libra, an air sign. Fire and air is very inspired, very passionate, and people will be, um, they really want to talk. They really want to connect and relate to one another and form a bond mentally and on sort of I don't know, like bringing that fire, that passion. But there's a lot that is having to do with wanting to talk to people of like mind, to really connect with people that we find balance and harmony with because we can relate to them. We don't feel like there's any kind of restriction or barrier in terms of what we could say because we're on the same page. We are going to really gravitate towards others who we can learn from that make us feel inspired and hopeful. There's a lot of information that will be coming towards us, whether it's content that you are um, consuming on the internet or the news, or that you have a conversation with someone and you find something out that you didn't know before. Something is revealed and it's like, wow, that's the missing part of the puzzle. And uh, that's why I actually really, really think that this is a phenomenal week. It may feel scary and heavy because also we're seeing some things happen that's like just crazy, and it makes you feel like a little ungrounded, like the ship has come unmoored, so to speak, because things are happening and people are saying things that are outside the realm of the quote norm. Uh, every new moon has been bringing a new level of weirdness. And it's a little scary to some people. I like it. I like weirdness. I like things that are just different and that throw people off. Because the comfort zone is not somewhere where you can grow. So that's another aspect to this new moon. It is going to throw us out of our comfort zone. We are going to consider things that we hadn't considered before and form alliances with people that we hadn't considered. Because maybe we didn't know that they thought a certain way, that, we shared similar values, and So that's very exciting. Now, I mean, there's a reason why I feel this is coming, but I'll save that till later. I really want to go through the week in astrology first. Oh, I want to get through the fucking week. All right, so Wednesday is the 6th day. I'm sorry, it's November 15th, which reduces to a 6 in the numerology. Now, don't forget, I've got my 369 days. So today is the 3 day. Whatever began on the 1 day, which would have been the 10th. All right. So on the 9th, something ended. On the 10th, something began. Think of it as when the egg gets fertilized and the cells start to divide and replicate. Um, it's still so small you don't see it. That's the 1 day. By the 3 day, you start to see what is developing. You see a little bit more of the picture. And it's also a good day to make sure that you put a little effort into whatever's growing. If it's positive, if it's part of your new paradigm or, your newly or redefined value system, uh, or your vision for the future, make sure to feed that, whether it's a symbolic effort or an actual action. I'm favoring actual actions these days. Because of the Sun Mars, I think we're really going to feel inspired to act upon things. So, yeah. And oh, I should also mention, with a lot of this Mars energy, it's a good thing to be active, to take action, to move. Um, don't stay stagnant. Keep taking actions. This does not favor wishy-washy, wait for somebody else. I don't know if I want to do it. Uh-uh. You're going to get left behind and you're going to get frustrated. And that's where the like anger and frustration to where, you know, you are having issues and confrontations and having friction with other people, it will come out in your relationships if you are suppressing and you're not using that Mars energy. Um, or that goes for sex too. So, you know, do what you got to do in that arena. Keep the energy moving. That's all I'm going to say. Don't let it get backed up. Because it comes out in weird ways with Scorpio psyche stuff. Yeah, it's never what it's about on the surface. All right, so Wednesday, yeah, again, that's the 6th day. So from the 3 day, which is today, to the 6th day, the 6 is the next step. And now we are, let's see, the 15th. The moon is in Sagittarius. Okay, so the moon is in Sagittarius and an it makes first an adjusting aspect to Jupiter. You either have to adjust your expectations, adjust your beliefs, um, adjust in which way you are expanding, perhaps, or this could be if it's in terms of finances, maybe. Maybe you need to learn a little bit more. Maybe there's, in order to gain a higher perspective and understanding, there's a learning curve here. So this could have to do with us feeling like we need to maybe go back to school, metaphorically or literally, learn something new in order to have a higher perspective and understanding. So, that's the waxing moon. We will see the first crescent by then. And so whatever is growing and happening, um, whatever we're dealing with, um, it will have to do possibly with Neptunian and Piscean energy because the moon and Mars will make a trine aspect to Neptune while the moon squares to Neptune. Okay, so there's something that we didn't see before. The moon square to Neptune is going to show us another layer of the situation that has been hidden from us. The Sun and Mars are pursuing Neptune, which is trying to hide things. So, wherever things have been hidden, there's going to be some very interesting information coming out. Now, the moon in Sagittarius, we can talk again about foreign lands, politics, foreign people. Um, Apply that as what you know is going on. And anything to do with the legal profession, anything to do with higher education, colleges and universities, religion. This could have something to do with a religious leader, a scandal being exposed, and with Scorpio and Pisces energy like this, with Neptune and Mars, um, we have to look at drugs and addiction and overdoses and suicides. So, uh, that has been being discussed, and there were a few things that I saw when Mercury was in this spot, making the same aspect to Neptune, that when someone dies, we don't always really know the true story. The When it's announced, it comes out in the news, in the media outlets. Um, it could be that a death that already happened, a high-profile public person who had already died. We're getting more information. This is like an autopsy report coming out. Um, or something that happened that it was either a month, 2 months ago, possibly 3, that the initial story, uh, the initial narrative is getting modified and amended and corrected because there was information left out, hidden on purpose. So this is the kind of energy that we're seeing with this week. So by Wednesday, um, the truth of a matter will be coming out. So if it's in terms of, it could be like a legal case where um, someone is accused and they get indicted, and then the lawyers bring evidence against and defending. But the initial, let's say the initial evidence of the case and reason for bringing charges, probable cause, there's so much more to the story, and now the other side of it is being dealt with. And this, I can think of a case right now where um, we're dealing with corrupt judges. So there are several cases high profile where judges are clearly biased, they're clearly corrupt, and the judges are being judged. So, there will be interesting things happening with those kind of cases. But this is what we need in terms of moving towards a more just society and getting rid of corruption. We need to see it. Corruption needs to happen in real time in front of our eyes. So, anyway, um, yeah, definitely something in the news, legal, foreign, you know, politics, that kind of thing. Yeah, and it's a 6 day, so it's has been building since this weekend. All right, so Thursday is November 16th. It is a 7 day. Again, it's an odd number. They kind of throw us a little off balance, but it's, you know, now what are you going to do with the next thing? Or the thing that you've been given, what are you going to do with it? All right, so we have Mercury now conjuncting a star on Thursday. Let's see. So Thursday, the 16th, Mars is conjunct Antares, and Antares is a star known for war. So this will have something to do with war, but it's Mercury, so it's being announced, it's being said, it's being declared, and it's information coming to us. It's ideas and news being disseminated. So there's that. And the moon, like I said, moving through Sagittarius. It will be in Sagittarius the early part of the day. It will be in late Sagittarius and then moving into Capricorn. So, a declaration of war, a new level, an escalation of war, a, the war in terms of how battles are being fought in terms of debates. So can be more metaphorical, but it's like them's fighting words. And Antares is not known for being it has like a Mars-like energy. It's not known for being dip diplomatic. It's feisty. It wants to fight. So that's it. Again, we've got okay, so Wednesday the moon makes the aspect that in conjunct that adjusting aspect to Jupiter. So on that happens on Tuesday, and then by Thursday we have Mercury doing the same thing. So there's a turnaround, perhaps, in a situation because it wasn't what we thought. We have a higher perspective now. We're examining our beliefs and finding out that our beliefs were based on faulty information. So we have to adjust them. And we can also look at Jupiter's growth and expansion in Taurus, and perhaps we are uh, understanding better where we're growing, in what area, so that we can be more stable and resourceful. Now, I do have to mention that Jupiter is going to go direct. It is retrograde right now. So a lot of this is happening internally, whether it's an internal investigation and challenges within a structure, a governing body, legal laws. There is a lot of that, but it has also to do with laws governing our financial system and any laws in regard to money, taxes, finance. So there could be things changing right now as far as how things are done because things are being reviewed in terms of regulation and procedures. Uh, so uh, Jupiter being retrograde, it's going to go direct in December on the 31st. So I feel like there could be something that is under review that's given a deadline that as of December 31st, up until then, you were doing things one way, and now we're doing things a completely different way. Something is going to change. We also have to look at travel. So, Jupiter, because we have Mercury making that in conjunct to Jupiter, Jupiter also, because it's the ruler of Sagittarius, and that's foreign lands, foreign people. It also has to do with travel because it's the world. You can learn about the world, but you want to actually travel and go there and see what it's all about. So there is something changing in terms of travel. Is it becoming more expensive? That's possible. Let's look at December because I think this is really important and we need to know what's coming and listen to whatever's being talked about. So, um, s- something is changing. When Jupiter goes direct by the 31st of December, I think it will affect travel, whether it is economic or whether it is the political atmosphere of the world. We are probably dealing with um, an adjustment of what we're able to do. I want to say, um, maybe we don't know about it yet. Maybe it hasn't happened. But in December, Mars will make the same aspect to Jupiter. In early December, Mars will be around the same degree, which is like 910 degrees of Sagittarius. And that makes it the in conjunct to Jupiter. Let's just say it's the adjustment angle. And Mars is travel too, because Mars is our ability to move forward physically in Sagittarius, making that same aspect by December 6th. And it is conjunct Antares. Antares, like I said, around 10 degrees of Sagittarius, that's war. And Mars is fighting, aggression, anger, and violence. So there is something perhaps coming in early December where it could affect travel. Now, Venus won't be at that degree until January. So Venus is financial and Venus could be increases of like making it more expensive, possibly. Um, let's keep an eye on that. I don't know. That'll be a little bit. We're gonna be like thrown off. I mean, if it's legal issues, hold on a second. Time out. Give me a second. November. Where's Venus in November? On the 18th, Venus is making an inconjunct to Jupiter, but from Libra. Libra to Taurus, the 17th and the 18th. Hmm. Hmm. So that also could be prices rising. But also talking about legal issues, laws and regulations, perhaps regarding travel. I don't know. I don't know, but there will have to be an adjustment, and it looks like that would be a price increase too. And again, Venus is finances and Jupiter is education. I think this will have to do with tuition, possibly, and maybe funding for universities. Because part of the way war is fought these days is financial. Okay, so if you don't like something, you just don't fund it. So funding and donations are an issue. Uh, but who's donating to what? And that will go in terms of our values. Our values are changing. If something doesn't align with a certain group's value system, they are not going to financially uh, participate, right? So boycotts. All right. So Thursday, Friday. Friday is 8. Friday is November 17th. That's the 8. All week, I'm telling you guys, Mars and the Sun, there's a very assertive, aggressive push to to get something done, to get information, research, investigation, very, very aggressive. So, I mean, it favors it if there's something that you want to research and investigate and understand in terms of occult and taboo and hidden subjects in regard also to spirituality or religion, uh, with Neptune in Pisces, because it's making this big grand, not a grand, but a trine to Neptune all week. And everything that I said um, in regard to Scorpio and Neptune being substances, addictions. The other thing with this degree, and it has to do with the degree of Scorpio, and with Scorpio and Pisces in general, poisoning. Watch out for food poisoning or someone's food being poisoned, an attempted assassination or like a suicide or overdose. I mean, this is just giving poisoning type energy. Hi, Dave. That's okay. Better late than never. These days, I'm going for about an hour before anybody shows up in the chat room anyway, but this is not going to be a 2-hour show, so I'm almost done with the week. Hallelujah, I'm at Friday. Friday. November 17th, which is an 8-day. Now, 8 in numerology, I don't always look at the meaning of the numerology meaning when it comes to the date. I look at it 1 through 9 and the cycle of the building of the energy. However, 8 does have to do with the material realm and finance, uh, and business and achievement, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind if you have any financial matters that you want to attend to. The 8 is a good day to do that. And it's Friday. Friday is a Venus day. Friday is ruled by Venus. And so, where is Venus? Well, like I said, Venus is at 10 to 11 degrees of Libra, and it is adjusting with Jupiter. Jupiter is our beliefs and our expansion. It's more on an internal level right now because Jupiter is retrograde, but maybe it is um, putting us in a position to learn more about about let's say our financial system or our financial situation or our value structure and how that plays into um you know where we are in terms of uh building finances, building financial stability, understanding the changes that are happening in our financial structure and in our relationships too. We're learning a lot. So that's Friday. And the moon on Friday, like I said, no, I'm sorry. Thursday, it's in Capricorn. Friday, it's in Capricorn and Aquarius. Now remember that the lunar energy is building. So if I actually want to go back to Thursday for a second because I didn't really talk about the moon in Capricorn. Something's going to be happening in the um in the government in terms of the house. Now you know we have a new house speaker. Um I expect on Thursday something, maybe procedural rules. That's something that they were talking about wanting to do is to change the rules and the procedures in the house. And um, now that we have a new speaker, I expect that there will be something happening and moving forward very quickly with wherever they're going to go. If they're going to have new subpoenas, we have a congressional oversight committee and they have issued subpoenas for a bunch of Bidens. So that really brings me to what is going on with the boy Dan. With the new moon, something's going to happen with Biden. I think he'll be probably subpoenaed and questioned by this congressional oversight committee because they subpoenaed some of his family, but not him. So it's either going to be stuff coming out in this congressional hearing, which is on the record, which means we know about it. And they're going to be talking about Biden, and there's all that stuff going on. So I wonder. Um, we should be getting some really crazy dirt on what's been going on with all of that. So because the moon is in Capricorn, I say, uh, the asteroid house is in Capricorn, and I've been talking about this particular asteroid um, while we were having issues with the Speaker of the House and criminal networks and organizations, because House, the asteroid, was making is still making a trine aspect to another asteroid, Aphidas, and an asteroid, Orcus, in Virgo. So when all this stuff started happening with the house, Mercury was going through those degrees in Virgo retrograde, and it was a shit show. And it's still a shit show. But Orcus is a judge of the dead, and Aphidas is, well, the judge of the dead. It means the underworld, the subconscious, the astral realm, and that type of thing. But it's a judge, and it's one of two of the asteroids that I look at that have to do with judges and judging and sort of the idea of spiritual judge. And Aphidas is criminal networks and RICO shit. So we don't know everything that's going on exactly in our government, but there is stuff that is going to come out this week, I think. In terms of who's being engaged in criminal activity, whether it's the laptop from hell or it's, um, you know, congressmen and senators voting a certain way because they've got dirt, they've got skeletons in their closet, and they have to, they have to, um, I mean, they're compromised. They can't govern us. They're being manipulated. They're blackmailed. Anyway, this week is going to be interesting. So okay. The reason why I was talking about um, the Sun and Mars in Scorpio at these degrees, they're going to be going over Biden's Sun, S-O-N, not S-U-N, and his S-O-N, but the Sun and Mars is pursuing the truth and the light things to come to light, and it's on his Sun in Scorpio, and I think he has a Sun Venus conjunction. So it's all about money, right? And what are we talking about? We're talking about bribery, corruption, um, play for pay. So all that is going to come out this week. And who are they really going after? They're going after him, but by taking out and exposing the people around him. Mm. Mercury in Sagittarius. This could have to do with his son, S-O-N, Hunter. Because Mercury on Antares. Oh God. Who knows what this could be, but it's going to be a shit show. Shit show. So anything having to do with, like, foreign, I talked about foreign people, foreign investments. This is all of the information coming out on this, all of the investments, because that's foreign investments is Jupiter in Taurus. Taurus is money, currency, resources, funding, and Jupiter is foreign. Oh my God. But there's something about this that is going to last until December 31st because Jupiter will go direct. That's a big day. So what we're seeing right now for the next month and a half, hold on to your hats. It's going to be crazy. So Friday, yeah, Friday is a crazy day. All right, so Friday, it's going to start super intense because the moon in Capricorn is going to be conjunct Pluto. What do you want to make a bet that somebody offs themselves, unalives themselves, or is unalived by someone and it looks like they did it, but you know what I'm talking about. It's meant to look like it was self-inflicted, but it's not. Do you know what I'm saying? Can you hear me right now? These alignments are the potential, and there is, let's see, well, it's the moon, but then it's Mercury in Sagittarius. Boyden, his rising sign is Sagittarius. His sun and Venus and something else is in Scorpio. That's in his hidden 12th house, exposing all of the stuff going on behind the scenes with him. Whether it's just stuff that he hid or stuff that was hidden from him too. Don't discount the fact that, don't think that he's like the big guy in charge. I bet you there's a lot of shit that went down in his name and because of his influence and power that he didn't even know about, but yet he's guilty for it. Guilty by association. Rico. All right. So Sagittarius. Hunter's a Sagittarius. And Mercury going through Sag. The sun will go through Sag. And then Mars is going to go through Sag too. There's a good chance. They can't let this get to trial. This won't go to trial without somebody dying first. It's just the way things work. I mean, it's the way criminal organizations work, you know? If somebody's supposed to testify, they're either told what to say or they're made to shut up. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So Saturday the 18th, I'm sorry. No, Saturday is the 18th. Did I skip a day? Hang on a second. Am I off? No. 15, 16, Friday, 17. Okay, Saturday's the 18th. Yes. Saturday the 18th. This is our 9-day. Okay? Remember, the 9 ends the cycle. So all the weirdness and the drama starts today, levels up by Wednesday, and ends by Saturday, the 18th, because that's the 9. And that is when Mars is exactly trine to Neptune. And that is very aggressive, and it's aggressive in its desire to uncover hidden things and bust people's illusions, also to create an illusion and lies. So, let's see. Mars, okay, so Mars and the Sun are both making a sextile to We're beginning to make a sextile to Pluto. Pluto is power and influence and control. It's all about control. And Pluto in Capricorn is government. So, what we are seeing is the underpinnings of our governing system that we've had since we declared our independence and wrote our Constitution. The way things were laid out, that was the structure of our government. We are seeing that completely crumble, and corruption, and political control and influence, that is part of our system, right? Uh, and it's not sustainable anymore. There's so much corruption in the system, but this is why we're having it exposed. We have to see it. We have to see the depths of the evil before we can heal that thing, right? So, what kind of things could we be seeing? If Mars is war and attacks, we're seeing attacks and defense in terms of naval, ships, perhaps, water, sea, because we have Neptune in Pisces. Mars, again, we could be seeing anything having to do with food and water. I said, watch out for food poisoning, because this is just this, it's the kind of energy where, like, I'm not saying that it's malicious and intended, but poisoning is poisoning. Poisoning could be alcohol poisoning. Anyway, what we're dealing with here, oil and gas, volcanoes and eruptions, addictive behavior, religious zeal, religious, war, like fighting for your religious values, fundamentalism, okay? We're going to be seeing things with legal system, judges, that kind of stuff we did talk about. And it is a battle between the ruling structure entrenched so deeply and corrupt and wanting to control and devour. And then we're also dealing with we're dealing with displacement and people being displaced. That may not be happening just yet here in our country. However, it could be, and we could be hearing about it. Um, y'all know what's going on with the immigrant situation, and y'all know what kind of possibilities we could see because of the types of people that are coming in. And we're talking about groups of people who have very differing ideologies, religion, values, whatever it is. And it is a battle for resources. And so think about it in terms of what is happening in the Middle East. I won't go into it. How do you know that that won't happen here? We don't know that that won't. I do think that that will happen here. So, whether or not it's happening yet, I feel like Mars trine to Neptune can be bringing up messages from our subconscious and our intuition that this is where it's headed. That what you see in the rest of the world is what is a potential, right? And obviously, I live in the United States, so I am looking at it from that perspective, but it's about looking at a situation that someone else is experiencing that gives you the opportunity to game out what would you do if that happened to you, right? So I think that that's what I feel like um, whatever we're observing this week is going to let us know, first of all, what direction are we headed in? Because things seem so chaotic and there's so many potentials, right? And you can look at a situation and say, left unchecked, this is where it's going to end up, right? And in the past, there was not s- um there was nothing to check the expansion. The expansion of corruption and power and control is being put in check. You might not think so, but if you look around, you will see evidence that the tide is turning, the battle is changing. Um, we're not there yet, but um, knowledge is half the battle. If you don't know how you're being robbed, or you don't know that you're being robbed, or if you and you don't know how, then how do you know how to prevent it? How do you know what to do about it? How do you know what your recourse is? So we're getting more of the picture, and for some of us who have been following along, those of you who live on the fringes like I do, you kind of know, and you've had a sense of what was going on. But now we're going to get receipts. Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus, that's receipts. That's physical evidence of corruption, crimes committed. Really, it's the tip of the iceberg. But we're going to get something. We're going to have something revealed for sure. Now, I do want to look just a little bit at what other aspects could be going on throughout the week. Let's see. I didn't really only in my notes went up to Saturday the 18th, but Sunday the 19th, the moon is in Aquarius. So Aquarius represents the collective, groups of people, protests, rebellions. I think that will be an interesting day in terms of the information we're getting and what we are assimilating in terms of, if we've had a bit of a challenge emotionally, if there have been things going on in our personal life that have been challenging, maybe starting something new, or just coming to a realization of changes that are coming and emotionally having to deal with that, seeing how it's going to affect us personally. And then, by Sunday with the moon in Aquarius, a good day to sort of just detach, maybe spend some time with friends connecting. In Aquarius, it can have to do with social media and the internet, and the moon will square Jupiter and Uranus. So I think that there would be interesting things going on in terms of whatever's happening with protests and stuff like that. And maybe we see some kind of internet, you know, social media blackouts. That does happen with protests and in areas, that are having unrest, civil unrest and war. Um, there can be what do they attack? They attack the utilities, they attack the internet. So there could be something happening potentially by next weekend, or let's see, Sunday into Monday. We'll have the moon making its first quarter square, I believe. Let's see. On Monday. So the sun will square the waxing moon, and I feel like by that time, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to say. I just with this Mars and Sun in Scorpio like that, I don't know. I'm not trying to be super down or negative, but um, Scorpio is death, and people like people pass during eclipses, but some things have been happening lately that I really wonder about. Like, I wonder about the nature of the passing of the person during this time, but maybe we're finding something out. I just think it's crazy. It's salacious gossip. It's uh, just out of left field kind of crazy things. I don't know. I don't know. But now I will something I made mention of. So that's your week right there. But something I did make mention of regarding judges. So we're having transits through Sagittarius, and so some of the stars in Sagittarius are in the constellation of Hercules. And Hercules is also called Engonasan, or the kneeling man. And I think that it's very interesting. The similarity of that name, Engonasan, and Engoron, Judge Engoron, who is presiding over the uh, the court case in New York against Trump. Engonasan and Engoron. Now, let's see. So I don't just watch what happens with that. I don't want to go too much into the the case, but some interesting things came out when Mercury entered into Sagittarius, and it was conjunct the fixed star Kajam, which is the club of Hercules. So what you see, the constellation Hercules is depicted as a man kneeling with a club in his hand. and he's about to give a beat down, right? But Hercules, also the mythology, the labors of Hercules, is about the war between the gods and the Titans. And who are the Titans? But the sort of, they were half man, half god, right? And so that's very interesting. And what else did I want to make a note of? Um, going back to on the 16th, I just want to make a note of that day when Mercury is conjunct Antares, which is the heart of the Scorpion. So there will be words that cut to the heart to kill the Scorpion. And the Scorpion, I think, bit Hercules. That was part of the story. So the Scorpion that bites the heel of Hercules and tries to poison him. Mercury on Antares will hit at the heart of the Scorpion. So getting to the heart of the matter, so to speak, that could be interesting. All right, what else did I notice? There was something that happened yesterday on 11/11, Veterans Day. There was a U.S. military aircraft that crashed in the East Mediterranean during a training exercise. I think I want to call bullshit on that because maybe that's maybe that's what we're going to get more information about, that the story, the narrative, because immediately what are they going to give you? Whatever they want you to believe. It's not always the truth. So when I was talking about the aspects to Jupiter, Jupiter has to do with flight, and foreign travel, airplanes, and Venus making the adjusting aspect to Jupiter. Let me just look at something here. It could be very possible that because it happened while the moon, or let's see, would it have been the moon? All right, I'm not going to waste too much time going into that, but I feel like that could be part of what's going on with these aspects to Jupiter. The moon in conjunct to Jupiter while in Sagittarius on Tuesday. Watch to see. We might get some information, something might get exposed. There will be an investigation. Somebody will be doing an investigation. It could be, some kind of something along the true crime bent of citizen investigation and journalism and that kind of thing. And then we find something out. What else? We're going to hear more about Hercules, Engonasan, Engaron, the kneeler. Doesn't that make you think, like, the kneeler? Who's he kneeling to? Who does this guy pledge his allegiance to? As we see Mercury go moving through Sagittarius, this week we have the moon there, and then over the next week or so, we have Mercury moving through there. I think you're going to see this judge be forced to recuse himself, to take him off the case. I think this judge is going to be taken off the case. The reason why I say that is, first of all, we're going to have upcoming transits that will be conjuncting stars in Hercules. So Hercules is the constellation. It is spanning part of Sagittarius, and the stars that are, well, one of them is 17 Sagittarius, and Mercury will be there by the 21st and the 22nd. So by the week after next, Mercury is going to be in the forehead of Hercules. So the forehead, that represents thought, right? And intellect. So it could be that there is a higher court that is hearing complaints about this judge and his judicial conduct or misconduct because of, of Hercules and Sagittarius and its connection to um, what I've already seen, which is what has been going on since Mercury entered Sagittarius. So I think we see more of that. Uh, and then we're around when Mercury reaches around 23 Sagittarius. That'll be the 26th of November. And that will be on a star called Ras Alag in Ophiuchus. And this is the star in the forehead of Ophiuchus. So first we have the forehead of Hercules. So Hercules represents a mortal man. Well, I think Hercules was, kind of a giant superhuman. But this would be representative of the human justice system, right? Justice on earth. But then we have justice in heaven, divine justice, spiritual law, man's law versus spiritual law, and being held held accountable to a higher standard. So, what is higher than a district court? There's appellate courts that you can make an appeal. So you lose a case and you appeal it in a higher court until it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. And guess what? There is a case uh, bef- before the Supreme Court. So people bring cases to the Supreme Court. I don't think it goes directly to the Supreme Court. It usually gets tried in a state court, right? So you have your local jurisdictions, and then you can keep appealing until you get all the way up to the Supreme Court. And there's a lot of cases that go to the Supreme Court, but they choose which ones to look at. And there is a case regarding election fraud. So it is very possible that the Supreme Court decides that it's going to consider this particular case regarding 2020. And um, I mean, whatever. Flag me, I don't care. All these things you're not supposed to talk about that go into the algorithms that lower your view counts. Fuck it. Last week I had, I don't know, 9 to 10 views on my, like the weekly astrology, how did I go down from like 40 on average, 30 to 40, all the way down to 10? Think about it. Unless people are sick of hearing me talk, and that's a possibility, and I'm willing to consider that. But anyway, whatever. So it is very possible that we are going to see something having to do with very major court cases, Supreme Courts, lower courts, and pivotal actions in the next couple of weeks. So I guess that's all I have for today. Are you still there? Oh my goodness. Hello. I literally had to shut down my browser. I've ended the show, but I'm still here. I had to come on. I had to reboot the browser so that I could come on, so that I could sign off. And thank you, everybody. I didn't really get over to the chat because my browser got stuck. I don't know w- at what point you stopped hearing me. Was it when I shut it off, or was it when my browser got stuck? I do not know. Crazy. Live. Live radio. So thank you to Dave in the chat. And Inga, welcome. Welcome from Ireland. Wait, I don't recognize the flag, but I see a shamrock and a green heart. Is that Ireland? Before I shut off okay. Well, I don't know where I left off. I have no idea. I was talking about the judge. I was talking about Hercules. I was talking about Ophiuchus. I was talking about the stars in Hercules, Russell Getty at 17, Sagittarius, in the forehead of Hercules being the um the intellect. So human understanding and the legal system. I was wrapping up to go. Okay, good. So you heard all that stuff about the forehead of Ophiuchus the snake handler, Rasahog. Okay. And divine justice versus, the human justice system. Hey, Darren. What are you doing? Did you just get here? Welcome. You're going to have to rewind and listen to the playback. It's going to be an interesting week. You know, um, let me go back to Hercules. I'll just give you a little bit more of a tidbit. So Hercules, Engonasin, or Engonasi. Engonasi means on his knees. Isn't that nuts? On his knees. So who's on their knees? So what I was saying before is Hercules is the kneeling man. He's kneeling with a club in his hand. So is he kneeling to, strike the final blow? Or is he kneeling to someone? And Hercules, the constellation Hercules, is represented by the tarot card, the number 4 card, the Emperor. So I was kind of looking at it in terms of like, who do they bow to? Who do they kneel to? Well, our justice system, the legal system, is under the crown. That's the bar association, right? They pledge allegiance to the crown, basically. If you didn't know, now you know. So, are we finding out like who's really in charge? Anyway, it does have to do with human knowledge and ideas and intellect. Right, Dave, maritime law. Um, and then we move towards as Mercury is moving toward through Sagittarius. When it gets to 23 degrees, it's in Ophiuchus and it's on Russell Hog. And that's the Tower card. See, a lot of these constellations have association kabbalistically with certain tarot cards. And Ophiuchus is the tower. I mean, tarot. Did I say tower? Tarot cards. But Ophiuchus is the tower, and Rassalhag, the star at 23. Sag is the forehead of the snake handler, which is Ophiuchus. So, oh my gosh, wait and see what happens this week. It's gonna be crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I was wrapping up to go. I told everybody where to find me. That's where I cut off. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you're looking to book a reading, I think I'm going to run some holiday specials. I haven't decided what that will be yet, but if you are interested in booking a reading, if you email me or you DM me or you call me on the AstroLunaChick hotline, 914-222-1231, leaving a message or texting me, letting me know that you're interested, I will let you know what the special is and what's the soup of the day. It's soup weather. All right. So, astrology readings make wonderful holiday gifts. Just saying. But thank you guys. I want to thank you again. Thank you to Darren, Dave, and Inga in the chat. And I'm glad you guys could join me today. So I'm wrapping it up. This time it's for real. So have a great week, everybody. And I will be popping in to give an update to see if if what I am speculating about, if it actually happens. Anyway, you can tell me the next time we see one another, or send me a message, tweet me, whatever, and let me know what you're observing, or come into the live stream and have it out in the chat. All right, you guys, have a great day. Ciao for now.